A woman that's in her masculine energy, because she's in her head, because she's planning, this is a low-key stress response for a woman. And when a man is around a woman who's in her low-key stress response, it triggers it in him. It turns on his amygdala, and he very quickly has a bit of a defense subconsciously. He doesn't notice this, but there's something in him that's saying, something's going on here. I need to be on defense. And he views her as a competitor and not as a possible companion. So this first part of being a woman that has an energy where you're always in your head because you're low-key, your masculine energy, it will put up his defenses. And when a man has his defenses up, he doesn't view you again as a potential companion or somebody that's safe. And he won't know why, but he'll just be like, she's beautiful and stuff, but I don't know, there's just something about her. Like, she's just cool for now. He will hang out with you. He'll spend time with you, especially if you make it easy. And masculine energy women, unfortunately, they make it very, very easy for a man to hang around.
Feminine women are increasingly rare, but this scarcity is not indicative of a loss of innate nature. Rather, it is the product of an increasingly complex and disorienting social ecosystem, one that actively undermines what is natural to humanity and misaligned with our biological and evolutionary design. In this context, femininity is no longer ubiquitous. It has become a precious and high-value presence. Authentic femininity is not performative, nor is it reducible to fashion, posture, makeup, or aesthetic choices. It is an embodied state of being, a reflection of a regulated nervous system, emotional maturity, and relational intelligence. It requires receptivity, groundedness, and emotional consistency, qualities that are increasingly difficult to cultivate in a culture defined by overstimulation, constant productivity, and emotional suppression. Modern life actively discourages softness, relational attunement, and restorative rest, all of which are essential expressions of feminine energy. In this environment, the presence of true femininity is exceptional. An exceptional presence carries inherent magnetism. From an evolutionary standpoint, traits associated with femininity are costly, difficult to fabricate, and inherently valuable. Emotional generosity, relational attunement, patience, and the ability to harmonize social dynamics require energy, vulnerability, and self-regulation. These are not traits that can be feigned or superficially adopted without consequence. Because they are rare and demanding, they signal high value to men whose neurobiology is wired to detect, pursue, and invest in such traits. This drive is not cultural, it is evolutionary. Men compete for access to femininity because it represents stability, fertility, and relational harmony, all of which historically conferred reproductive and social advantage. The essence of femininity extends beyond attraction. A woman who embodies grounded softness, emotional consistency, and relational intelligence communicates security, balance, and reliability. She becomes a focal point of relational magnetism, signaling not only availability but also emotional regulation and stability. In turn, men respond, not through mindless pursuit, but through protection, investment, and engagement. This dynamic is a fundamental element of human relational biology, one that operates independently of social trends or cultural ideologies. Yet, contemporary society frequently devalues and undermines feminine traits. Softness is misperceived as weakness. Emotional generosity is deemed naive. Patience and attunement are treated as impractical. These biases are systemic, embedded in work structures, technological environments, and cultural narratives that favor self-sufficiency and constant output over relational depth and receptivity. And yet, the resistance of society does not diminish the inherent power of femininity. It amplifies it. Scarcity, as evolutionary psychology predicts, enhances value. In a world where authentic feminine energy is rare, its presence becomes increasingly magnetic, consequential, and sought after. For women cultivating femininity, recognizing its profound significance is critical. The ability to stabilize social environments, maintain emotional consistency, and express grounded receptivity is far from trivial. It is high-value energy in its most essential form. External skepticism or cultural noise cannot and should not obscure this intrinsic worth. Moments of discomfort, resistance, or irritation in response to embracing feminine expression are not failures. They are opportunities for deeper self-awareness and greater insight into relational dynamics. The scarcity of femininity is precisely what makes it so profoundly desired, not only in romantic relationships, but in friendships, professional contexts, and family systems. Individuals are drawn to those who are emotionally intelligent, harmonizing, and relationally attuned because these traits confer stability, connection, and meaning. A woman who embodies grounded softness, natural kindness, emotional generosity, and relational attunement is, in essence, high value. Men and others who recognize these qualities will respond by seeking connection, offering investment, and honoring the space she creates. Femininity is neither optional nor superficial. It is a biologically, psychologically, and socially significant state of being. Its rarity magnifies its value. transforming it into a presence that is simultaneously magnetic, stabilizing, and warm. Women who prioritize and cultivate authentic femininity are enacting a state of profound relational, social, and evolutionary significance. Though often obscured by societal pressures, the innate power, magnetism, and stabilizing force of feminine energy remain unchanging and indestructible.
Women are not designed to live in constant discipline. Her body moves in cycles. Some days her energy is up, some days her energy is down, some days she leads, some days she just wants to sleep and rest. There's a 6 or 7 day window every month where she's on fire. She's ready to crush it. She's energized. She has so much creativity in her. She has so much focus in her. And then there's another 6 or 7 days. If she really paid attention to it, she shouldn't be doing anything at all but laying in bed, eating ice cream, and watching TV. But society has taught women to ignore all of that, to suppress what's happening inside. Nowadays, women don't get enough empathy regarding this. They're expected to keep pushing, keep grinding, as if they're built like men, but they're not. Trying to force her into a rigid routine every day is how you disconnect her from her power. They move through all 4 seasons every month. And they should be encouraged to build their lives around that cycle, around that rhythm, not fight against it.
Women are not meant to operate according to the same energetic patterns as men, and when they attempt to do so, the cost is often profound. Men are biologically supported by stable testosterone levels, which enable linear focus, consistent productivity, and resilience under stress. Women, however, move through cyclical hormonal rhythms shaped by estrogen and progesterone, which naturally affect energy, creativity, and stress tolerance. Forcing themselves into a male pattern of constant output disregards these rhythms and often leads to burnout, hormonal imbalance, and emotional exhaustion. Beyond hormones, the nervous systems of men and women are calibrated differently. Men are designed to thrive under external challenge and competition, whereas women are attuned to relational bonding, intuition, and adaptability. When women ignore this design and push themselves into relentless grind culture, they not only weaken their health but also suppress their distinctly feminine traits: softness, receptivity, and the capacity to nurture and create. Historically, these differences were complementary. Men's linear drive made them suited for hunting, building, and confronting external threats, while women's cyclical nature supported the preservation of energy, reproduction, and the regulation of social and emotional bonds within the community. Neither was superior, both were essential. The breakdown occurs when women abandon their natural design in favor of a model that was never meant to be theirs. Women can excel, lead, and achieve, but their power is sustainable only when it is expressed in alignment with their biology. To embrace femininity is not to diminish capability, but to channel it through a rhythm that honors the intelligence of the female design. Femininity and feminine energy are not fleeting trends or performative acts. They are intrinsic states of the nervous system. Authentic femininity cannot be manufactured, forced, or faked. It arises naturally from a foundation of internal regulation and the support of an environment that nurtures it. To embody feminine energy fully, one requires a carefully cultivated equilibrium, a harmonious alignment that is safeguarded through self-respect and reinforced by the respect and recognition of those around us. True femininity manifests when your nervous system is regulated, allowing you to experience life from a place of grounded openness rather than constant vigilance. When the nervous system is activated and survival mode dominates, the amygdala remains hypervigilant, perpetually scanning for threats. In this state, the mind is preoccupied with planning, pushing, and doing, and the body is in a chronic stress response. True softness, however, emerges only when the nervous system feels safe and regulated. This state allows one to be present, embodied, and open, a place of inner security that permits leaning into receptivity, knowing that support and balance exist in the world around you. Softness is not weakness, it is a profound strength. It is the ability to remain centered, trusting, and fluid in the midst of life's challenges. It is a reflection of a nervous system that knows it can relax without fear of depletion or harm. To cultivate this softness, one must intentionally create space for oneself, nurturing the mind, body, and spirit, and setting boundaries that preserve energy and well-being.
You want to know why some of the most gorgeous, fashionable, glamorous women have the hardest time dating? It's because a lot of them are overcompensating with their appearance for their masculine energy. Okay, under all of that glamour and beauty is pure masculine energy. And luckily, I think if you are one of these girls, you can figure out a way to lean into your divine feminine. But the problem is, men might want to be with a girl that looks like you, but they're going to choose a woman who sometimes looks not as good as you because those women know, and they were either trained from an early age or they figured it out, but they figured out a way to make these men feel like men. Men do not want an equal. They do not want a woman who is competition to them. They want a woman who they can impress. They want a woman who they can lead. And if they don't feel that they can provide that to you, they're going to find a girl who they do feel that way about. And if she doesn't look as good as you, they're still going to choose her. So the good news is you can learn how to turn off your masculine energy when it comes to dating. Or you can also choose beta men. And I don't think that's always a bad thing. Like some guys, they like a more dominant woman, but you might not like those kinds of men. Or you might look at those kinds of men and think you can fix them up. You can't. Okay, you got to take them and accept them as they are. But yeah, if you want a guy who's alpha, you're going to have to lean into your feminine.
The truth is, teaching women to live in constant fear of men only deepens insecurity. Independence born from trauma isn't freedom, it's a cage. The real freedom comes when you are able to discern, trust, and build with someone who is equally committed. You can only step into that place once you truly believe it's possible for you. But when women are conditioned into hyperindependence, it pushes them away from their natural feminine energy, forcing them into a masculine role, and a woman operating in her masculine will naturally repel masculine men.
Have something quickly to add in regards to what we see on social media. Social media and the algorithm tends to follow your consciousness. Like everything we say, our phones and laptops and social media, it's tracking what we're doing and what we're saying, what we're purchasing, all the cookies and stuff. We all know this, right? This is also what we're living in. This is the state that we're in, whatever we're scrolling and looking at. A lot of times we are looking at toxic men and women giving toxic advice in our digital world. Again, that's your reality, what you are seeing. It doesn't mean that that's the only type of content that is out there. That's just what is catering to you. And I also want to say really healthy couples, the really good men and women, the really happy, truly happy couples, they don't post on the internet. They don't. The ones that are truly living a good life, everything that they have, which there are a lot of people out there with that type of life, love, this, that, traveling. A lot of people do that. A lot of truly humble people that values privacy. You don't see it. You truly don't see their lives and how they truly live. You don't see that because they don't post that. I'm trying to get you to imagine right now the things that we don't see, the amazing lives that we can have. You don't get to see that, but it's there. That reality is there for everybody, not just the reality that you can see, because that is just a reality. And also good men, really, really, truly good men, some of them don't even have social media.
I just want to put that out there. You attract what you believe in. If you believe that this world is filled with men that hate women, that just want women for their bodies, if you live in a world where you think women are all trying to look sexy and like baddies, and if you think that the world is filled with catty women, OnlyFans women, or women that want to steal your man, I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. I'm here to tell you that it's like traveling. You travel to a different country and you're like, culture shock. I'm telling you, this is that type of situation. There is a completely different world out there once you get rid of that. I believe that Shira 7 is living in fantasy. She's actually living in another universe that is her reality, but I don't believe that's a good reality to be in. But there's another reality, another parallel universe where people get along. It's literally like sunshine and butterflies with a few rainy days. It's a good world where people understand how to communicate. It's a good world where people know how to be adults. It's also not exclusive. It's not an exclusive world either. It's a world that anyone can enter as long as they start believing that this world exists and start healing and attracting that type of energy instead of killing each other. You know, people from different realities and people from different worlds think differently. The negative and the positive. Like positive energy versus negative energy. That's it. You can think that men are constantly wanting to fuck you and use you and screw you over and play games with you. You can keep living in that reality. But I'm just telling you, that is a reality. That is true. But do you want to be in that reality? You're going to play the games that come with that reality. Do you really want to play in that reality, in that game? Or do you want to step out of that and live in a completely different reality that is way better than that? Because that reality exists, and I promise you.
I keep telling you, you create your reality with your thoughts. Scripture confirms this truth. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Even when I was involved in the occult, I knew the principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. Nearly Every religion has some version of this truth because it reflects a spiritual law. What you dwell on internally will eventually manifest externally. This is why the content you consume matters. The more negative content you feed your mind, the deeper a negative reality you dig yourself into. Of course, I'm not suggesting that embracing femininity is mere wishful thinking, but believing that you can meet a masculine man, a man who will not cheat, whose mother and sisters will not hate you, and with whom life can actually flourish, is the first step. Step 1 is confronting and uprooting your limiting beliefs. Step 2 is seeking therapy or inner healing to address the wounds beneath them. But step 2 is impossible without step 1. Despite my own childhood trauma, I managed to preserve a childlike belief that marriage to a loving, faithful, and providing man was still possible for me. In one of my mother's nastiest emails, she told me that I would never get married and that no one would ever love me. That's witchcraft. My mother was operating in witchcraft, using words as weapons, hoping I would come into agreement with her curse so that I would live as miserably as she did. But I caught it. I said, no, not in my reality. When you hear absolute statements like all men cheat, he will take advantage of you, or his mom and sister will hate you, do not come into agreement with it. Instead, say, I rebuke this in the name of Jesus. I send it back to the sender to be exchanged with a blessing. Negative thinking has never helped anyone in the history of mankind. Scripture reinforces this repeatedly. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Philippians 4:8. These verses aren't poetic suggestions. They're spiritual instructions for creating a life aligned with God's promises rather than the world's curses. Even psychologists recognize what's called the negativity bias, the brain's natural tendency to place greater weight on negative experiences and thoughts than on positive ones. From an evolutionary perspective, this bias served a purpose. Being hyper-attuned to threats, dangers, and mistakes was far more useful for survival than lingering on moments of comfort or joy. When your amygdala is hyperactive and constantly scanning for threats, it's a clear sign that you're in survival mode. In that state, everyone and everything can feel like a potential danger. It's the brain's coping mechanism to keep you alert and protected. Research suggests that as much as 70 to 80% of our automatic thoughts skew negative. And negative memories are not only stored more vividly, but also replayed more frequently than positive ones. In fact, it often takes several uplifting experiences to counterbalance the psychological impact of a single negative event. The good news is that this pattern isn't fixed. The brain can be trained to shift its default focus. Practices such as gratitude, journaling, meditation, prayer, affirmations, and mindful awareness of thought patterns can gradually rewire neural pathways. Over time, this intentional practice allows positive perspectives to feel more natural, reducing the dominance of the negativity bias and fostering a healthier, more balanced mindset.
Wounded masculine women are the women who are defensive, judgmental, critical, and they're very controlling and combative. They project their own disappointment, doubt, and shame onto other people and blame external things for the reason that they're unhappy because they lack the ability to look inward and take accountability for the way their life turned out. They want a masculine man, but attract feminine men because masculine men won't put up with them. A masculine man and a masculine woman would clash too much. It's too much of the same energy and it would be very explosive. These women pride themselves on their hyper independency and they put a lot of weight and value on external things. Whether it's their looks or how much money they make or their career position or their intellect, they're putting their value as women on things that guys don't actually care about. A woman's value does not come from how much she can provide, how much money she makes, or even how pretty she is. A woman's value is intrinsic, not extrinsic. It's the softness of a woman, her nurturing affection that draws people into her like a magnet. It's what draws masculine men towards them. Masculine men don't care about how much money you make or how successful you are. They want a woman that balances them out.
When a woman is in her masculine energy, it's often perceived negatively. Not because masculine energy itself is bad, but because it usually signals she's in self-protection mode. Masculine energy has its place. Leading a meeting, organizing, solving problems. These are powerful and useful expressions of it. The issue arises when a woman becomes stuck in proving, striving, or convincing energy. Why does this happen? We strive, prove, and overextend ourselves when, at a subconscious level, we fear that who we are isn't enough. Instead of resting in self-worth, we feel compelled to do more, achieve more, or persuade others of our value. But in truth, it isn't other people we're trying to convince. It's ourselves. This is also where hyperindependence comes in. Many women avoid asking for help or letting others in because they've been hurt or disappointed in the past. Independence then becomes a shield. The problem isn't masculine energy itself, it's the unhealed fears and beliefs fueling those behaviors. And when those fears drive us, we often end up attracting people who can't truly see, value, or support us. Or worse, we settle for them. This is why women who proudly claim they don't need a man often struggle to build meaningful relationships. That declaration doesn't usually stem from genuine wholeness or confidence. It's rooted in insecurity and self-protection. Healthy partnership requires first becoming healthy within yourself. Here's the key. Getting out of your masculine energy doesn't mean becoming softer, sweeter, or more girly. That's a surface-level aesthetic, not healing. If you're locked in masculine overdrive, constantly doing, controlling, and pushing, it's because your subconscious once decided your feminine energy wasn't safe. Somewhere along the way, your feminine essence, your ability to receive, to feel, to trust, was labeled weak, unsafe, or even dangerous. So you built an identity around independence, control, and logic. Not because that's your truest self, but because that's what kept you safe. Healing isn't about performing femininity, it's about returning to your true feminine. That means addressing the root wound that told you softness was dangerous. It's allowing yourself to feel again, to cry, to release, to receive without guilt or shame. It's shifting the subconscious belief that says, I must do everything myself into I am worthy of love, support, and care. When that shift happens, your masculine energy can finally exhale. It doesn't disappear, it simply relaxes into its rightful role of support rather than defense. A key indicator of wounded masculine energy in women is hyper-independence. She struggles to ask for help, feels constant pressure to manage everything, and operates in perpetual doing mode. Her energy runs hot, overextended, overactive, because life has repeatedly shown her that others cannot be trusted. She's been let down too many times. When she relied on others, they failed her. And so she hardened. Often these wounds trace back to childhood. A woman steps into her wounded masculine because she never experienced healthy masculinity from her caregivers. She was let down, abandoned, betrayed, or conditioned to believe that femininity was weakness. So she adapted. She learned to survive by depending only on herself, and she began to equate self-reliance with strength. For many, these wounds deepen later in life through abandonment by partners or fathers of their children. A woman left to raise children alone doesn't just shoulder responsibility. She internalizes the belief that no one will come to save her. That dependence equals disappointment. That wound becomes the engine driving her masculine overdrive. But here's the truth. Living in constant survival mode, overdoing, overplanning, overcontrolling, is not sustainable. It leads to exhaustion, burnout, and disconnection from your true self. Women were not designed to carry the weight of perpetual vigilance or to live forever in boss babe hustle. That state is the very opposite of the healthy feminine. True feminine energy is not weakness. It's power in its most magnetic form. And the journey of healing the wounded masculine is not about rejecting independence, but about allowing the heart to soften, trust, and receive again.
The only reason that you are in your masculine as a woman is because you're scared. Is because you're scared to fully trust. Because at some point in time, your father, your brother, your uncle, a stranger, even your mother violated that trust that you had as a little girl. And you see, and this is where we really start getting to the nitty gritty of what healing really is. Both for a man and for a woman, by the way. And when you can finally get into that space where you are able to connect to yourself and you're able to say, oh my God, there's something this guy is saying, there's truth in it.
Yeah.
It may not be what I've been told. It may not be what I grew up believing, but
speaks to me.
But damn it, it's speaking to me.
Yep.
Then you get to go on that journey. And then from that journey, I'm going to tell you straight out, you'll no longer need to ask the question, how do you determine? Because you'll know. You'll be in your spiritual power, and human beings will walk into your life and you'll be so connected to your soul's power that you'll be able to feel. You can feel energy, and you feel what's safe and what's not safe. You feel what is true and what is not true. And that's what happens when you can fully disconnect from the system.
The wounded feminine is not your true essence. It is a learned response shaped by past trauma, unmet needs, or cultural conditioning. When feminine energy becomes blocked or distorted, it often manifests in ways that feel reactive, disempowering, or disconnected from one's authentic self. The path to healing begins with the realization that these patterns are not permanent. They can be transformed. By reclaiming the natural flow of emotions, intuition, and presence, the feminine returns to its empowered state. The wounded feminine often expresses itself through heightened emotional reactivity, mood swings, defensiveness, or sensitivity to criticism and rejection. It may manifest as control or subtle manipulation, an attempt to manage external circumstances or people in order to feel secure or valued. Another pattern is resistance to receiving. Some women struggle to accept support or provision from men. even when it is freely offered because receiving feels unsafe or undeserved. Many also over-identify with work, achievement, or financial independence, often neglecting hobbies, play, and personal growth outside of productivity. Outwardly, this can take the form of provocative expression, revealing or attention-grabbing clothing, as an unconscious strategy to seek validation or signal worth. I'm going to attach some pictures of Cardi B, who I personally find to be very masculine. As I've mentioned before, revealing clothing can often be an unconscious strategy to seek validation. Whether it's showing excessive skin or choosing see-through outfits, for many women operating heavily in their masculine, this can even go as far as exposing areas like the nipples, which then later need to be covered up. At the core, however, is often a felt need to constantly prove oneself, even when such proving is unnecessary. In contrast, women who are anchored in healthy feminine energy feel no compulsion to prove their value. They allow provision and support to flow naturally, while developing their inner richness through interests, creativity, and personality. Disconnection is another hallmark of the wounded feminine. Disconnection from the body, intuition, and authentic desires. This creates a sense of numbness or emptiness, where inner cues are ignored in favor of external pressures. At its most entrenched, the wounded feminine dwells in victimhood, perceiving life as something that happens to her rather than something she actively participates in, carrying deep fears around being seen, valued, or being worthy. Healing the wounded feminine involves a profound reconnection with the body, emotions, and intuition. It is a process of reestablishing inner worth, allowing vulnerability, sensuality, and emotional depth to coexist with dignity and strength. When the feminine becomes regulated and integrated, it is no longer reactive, but radiant, able to receive, express, and create from a place of balance. This balance is deeply magnetic. Men are not drawn to women who overcompensate or seek external proof of worth, but to those whose femininity is both embodied and self-regulated, where softness is partnered with strength, and receptivity flows alongside discernment.
Masculine energy looks like this. Like, I'm going, I am thinking, I am providing, I am determined, I am planning, I am executing. Now, I want you to pay close attention to, because so many women are living this way, they don't even realize it anymore. Now watch. Feminine energy looks like this. Feminine energy looks like receiving, relaxing, being comfortable, being provided for, being nurturing, being loving.
Even if you have a career or a full-time job, training yourself to receive as a feminine woman is about learning how to balance your doing energy with your being energy. The masculine thrives on giving, doing, and producing results, but the feminine blossoms when she allows herself to soften, to accept, and to be cared for. That doesn't mean quitting your job, it means shifting your posture and how you move through life. Practice saying yes when help is offered, allow yourself to be spoiled without guilt, and let small gestures of kindness land deeply in your heart. At work, you can still operate professionally, while practicing receptivity by accepting praise instead of brushing it off, delegating when possible, and allowing collaboration rather than taking on everything alone. The more you condition yourself to lean back and receive, whether it's compliments, assistance, or provision, the more your feminine essence is nurtured even while you remain ambitious and capable in your career.
Oh my God, if I had $1 for every time that I've heard a woman say this exact phrase, the reason that I'm single is because men are intimidated by me. No, babe, the reason that you're single is because men don't feel inspired by you, because you feel like a man to them. My name is Julia. I help women step into their feminine energy. So let's analyze what's going on in this new season, season 9 of Love is Blind, starting with my girl, Megan. Megan is literally the exact type of woman that I work with. She's got everything going for her superficially when it comes to money. And honestly, we can even say to looks, like she's a good looking girl. However, she is missing something that I think she may not even be aware that she's missing, which is feminine essence. And this is what makes the difference between the successful women that men still step up to provide for and take care of versus the successful woman that men like run away from and steer clear from because she's very much in her masculine energy. Honestly, just off of my first impression with Megan, like the first few seconds of her on my screen, I can just feel how disconnected she is from her feminine energy because I don't feel much from what it is that she's saying. Her words are coming from here much rather than from here, which happens so much with successful women because if you're so used to strategizing, all of the planning, all of the analyzing that you have to do in order to reach a certain level of success, it is so easy to do one thing the way that you do everything. So what they do is they bring that boss, analytical, very logical energy into their dating lives, and there's a huge disconnect that does not lead to the results that they want. And I can almost promise you that Megan has two types, and I know because I used to be this woman. She's probably dated both men who are emotionally unavailable, but they seem very masculine in the sense that financially they're really well off and they can take care of her. But there's going to be a lacking of her feeling like she can be emotionally safe with them. Or she's dated guys who are on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, which is guys who are very fun, very emotional, but they struggle to step up when it comes to those traditional masculine energy traits, like being a safe space for her. These are guys who probably take up way more emotional space in the relationship. So in either relationship, she's dealing with guys who aren't available for her emotions. So when I hear women like Megan say that men are intimidated by her and her success, that's usually not the case. Most of these successful men that I know, and if you go on YouTube and search any interview where they're interviewing millionaires, those men always say that they love having a partner who has her own thing going on. She's successful in her own right. There's never a problem with that. The issue is when you're in a relationship, are you bringing your business partner energy or are you bringing your romantic partner energy? One of the guys, I'm not sure if it's a guy that she was dating or a guy that some other girl was dating, said that he always attracts independent women who aren't ready to settle down. This guy said it best. Oftentimes, independent women will lead with "I'm independent" energy, but it doesn't give "I could be a great partner" energy. So that's something to really look out for.
The wounded feminine often hides in the quiet spaces of our hearts, whispering fears of not being enough, of being too much, or of giving endlessly without ever receiving. It is the part of us that learned to protect itself through emotional reactivity and withdrawing from love. Yet, beneath the layers of hurt, there is a tender, luminous essence waiting to be reclaimed, soft, intuitive, and unapologetically receptive. Healing begins when we allow ourselves to notice the wound without judgment, acknowledging the ways it has shaped us while choosing not to let it define us any longer. To nurture the feminine within, we must practice the sacred art of receiving. A compliment, a favor, or even a quiet moment of rest is not a luxury. It is a permission slip to honor ourselves. Each time we accept, we strengthen the neural pathways of worthiness and rewrite the story that says we must always give to be loved. Boundaries become our allies, not our walls, teaching those around us how to hold space for our energy without depleting it. In these small acts, saying no when needed, asking for help when necessary, and honoring our emotions, we reclaim pieces of ourselves that may have been scattered, silenced, or overlooked. The journey of reclaiming the feminine is also a journey inward, a gentle turning toward the inner child, the tender self who has longed to be seen, comforted, and held. Journaling, mirror work, and quiet reflection create a bridge to that part of us, allowing her voice to be heard and her needs to be met. Movement, breath, and ritual act as vessels for release, carrying away the weight of old stories while inviting grace and softness to settle in. As we practice these acts of self-love and surrender, we step more fully into our natural rhythm, a rhythm that knows how to flow, how to receive, and how to radiate the quiet strength that comes from being whole. Healing the wounded feminine is not about perfection or rushing toward an end. It is about presence, patience, and gentle reclamation. Each day is a chance to honor yourself, to feel deeply, to rest when needed, and to trust that the world and the people you choose to allow in can meet you where you are. In this reclamation, the feminine emerges luminous, sovereign, and free, capable of both receiving and giving, without losing herself in the process. I wasn't planning on this video being this long, so I'll have to do a part 2. But before I go, I want to leave you with some tools that helped me on my own journey. Grounding. Healing begins with grounding ourselves, placing our feet firmly on the floor, closing our eyes, and taking deep, intentional breaths. Feeling the earth beneath us anchors our energy, reminding us that we are safe, present, and capable of receiving. These moments of mindfulness are the first step in reconnecting body, mind, and spirit, laying a foundation for the feminine to reclaim her natural flow. 2. Somatic exercises help release what words alone cannot reach. Gentle stretches, swaying, or mindful movement allow trapped emotions and tension to flow out of the body. By paying attention to sensations and breathing through discomfort, we teach our nervous system that it is safe to relax, opening space for the feminine energy to soften, expand, and flourish. Mirror work is another powerful practice. Standing in front of the mirror, looking into your own eyes, and speaking affirmations of love, worth, and acceptance can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is deeply transformative. This practice allows you to confront self-criticism, Build trust with yourself and begin to embody the truth that you are already enough, already worthy, and already loved. 4. Inner child healing invites us to meet the parts of ourselves that have long felt unheard or neglected. Through journaling, visualization, or tender dialogue, we can offer comfort, understanding, and protection to our younger selves. By acknowledging their pain and giving them permission to rest, we strengthen the foundation of self-compassion and create a safe container for emotional growth. 5. Reparenting yourself is another essential step in healing the wounded feminine. Many of us didn't receive the nurturing, validation, or guidance we needed growing up, which left gaps in our sense of safety and worth. Reparenting means stepping in as the loving, protective parent you always needed, setting healthy boundaries, creating routines that honor your well-being, and speaking to yourself with patience and kindness. By consistently showing up for yourself in this way, you rewrite old narratives of neglect or abandonment and build a foundation of trust within. This allows your feminine energy to thrive, knowing that you are held, cared for, and never without support. 6. Faith and spiritual connection provide a guiding light throughout this journey. Prayers, scripture, or meditation remind us that we are deeply loved, chosen, and supported. Leaning on faith helps to shift scarcity or fear-based thinking into trust and surrender, reinforcing that we are allowed to receive, rest, and be nurtured. 7. MSDR, Mindful Self-Directed Recovery, is a powerful tool to consciously work through triggers, reframe negative experiences, and integrate past trauma. By observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment and gently guiding ourselves towards self-compassion, we retrain the mind to respond with presence and balance rather than reactivity. And 8. Therapy serves as a structured space to deepen this healing. A skilled professional can help unravel the layers of the wounded feminine safely and effectively. Therapy validates our experiences, provides tools for emotional regulation, and accelerates the reclamation of our natural softness, intuition, and strength. Through healing tools, the wounded feminine transforms. She becomes soft yet resilient, open yet discerning, able to receive without guilt and give without depletion. Day by day, choice by choice, she reclaims her sovereignty, radiating a quiet power that is both tender and unstoppable. If all of this feels overwhelming, start with healing your inner child and seeking therapy. If financial situation is the issue, many cities offer affordable or even free options if you look into local resources and community programs. You can also begin by educating yourself with the many free resources available online. Another powerful step is getting into the gym. Even something as accessible as Planet Fitness, which is just $15 a month, can make a difference. Movement and strength training help regulate your nervous system, release stored trauma, and reconnect you to your body. This physical grounding is key for the divine feminine, because when you feel strong and safe in your body, you naturally soften, open, and flow with more confidence and grace. And one more thing I have to add, stop rushing. When the nervous system is locked in flight mode, it compels you to keep moving, as though safety lies in speed. This happens when unresolved trauma has never been fully processed, leaving the body in a perpetual state of vigilance. The first step toward healing is awareness. No one is chasing you anymore. The pressure you feel is internal, not external. We exist in a culture addicted to speed. Social media, constant notifications, and digital overstimulation condition us to consume information at rapid fire. Slowness feels foreign, sometimes even unsafe, because we've been programmed to equate rushing with relevance. But eventually, rushing fails. What once protected you will ultimately exhaust you. Survival mechanisms are not sustainable. At some point, you must choose to recondition your nervous system, to learn the art of slowing down, and to discover safety in stillness. Slowing down is not the same as doing nothing. It is moving with intention rather than compulsion. Ironically, when you stop sprinting and collapsing in cycles, you often reach your goals faster. The steady pace endures, the frantic pace burns out. This shift is not merely practical, it is spiritual. No matter how urgently you move, the sun will rise and set according to its own rhythm. Life, too, has a rhythm designed by God. To rush against it is to fight the very flow of your destiny. To align with it is to move with grace, ease, and divine timing. Nowhere is this more crucial than in the feminine essence. Nothing diminishes feminine energy more than perpetual rushing. When a woman hurries through life, she loses the ability to savor it. The taste of food, the sound of birdsong, the colors of the world around her. Feminine energy thrives in presence, receptivity, and stillness. It blossoms when it lingers. If rushing is your default, start small. Leave earlier for errands. Walk at half your normal speed. Eat slowly and without distraction. Notice the details around you. Each moment of stillness is a way of telling your nervous system, you are safe now. Understand also that rushing is not simply a habit. It is often a form of avoidance. It is flight from emotions we'd rather not face. Shame, fear, inadequacy. Instead of confronting them, we drown them in speed. But healing requires sitting with those emotions, feeling them fully, and then releasing them. You can remind yourself, I am enough even in stillness. I am safe even when I am not rushing. And here's the perspective that feels morbid, but in truth, it is freeing. Understand this, the finish line of life is death. That is the one destination guaranteed for every human being. So what exactly are you racing toward? We are all walking each other home. There's no need to rush. The finish line does not move closer because you rush, it remains the same. So what's the point of sprinting toward it? Why not walk with presence? Enjoy the scenery and savor the journey while you can. Take your time. Begin your journey, yes, take action, create momentum, but once you are on the path, resist the urge to sprint. Moving too fast only increases the likelihood of stumbling, and each stumble reinforces the false belief that you are inadequate. Slowness, by contrast, cultivates awareness, reflection, and the ability to course correct. Every meaningful journey requires pauses, reflection, and recalibration. By slowing down, you give yourself the space to see where you are, and that awareness is what allows you to reach where you are meant to be. So let this be your reminder today. Do not rush. You are safe. It's okay to pause. The joy is in the journey. The peace is in the present, and the flow of your life, divinely ordered, is waiting for you there.